Hello, I'm White Davy from White Davy Garden and Worm Farm. Today I am going to be introducing you to how you can succeed as a personal or a commercial worm farmer. But before we go into that, I'm just gonna briefly tell you what my goal is. I have been worm farming for 6 years. And after 2.5 months of worm farming, when I had my first harvest of worms and of the worm castings, I was so impressed that I started studying all I can about worms. So I've been doing that for the past 6 years. I've been doing a lot of experiments. I've been talking to a lot of worm farmers because the more you know about worms, the more successful you can be. So my goal is not only to help you to know more about worms, but also to help you to become a successful worm farmer, whether you're doing it for personal reasons or you're doing it for commercial purposes. So there are several things that you need to know if you're going to worm farm successfully. For some of you who are watching this video, you may have started your worm farming journey already, or you may be planning to start your worm farm. One of the things that is very important for you to keep in mind when you are considering worm farming is your climatic condition. Do you have temperate condition year round, or are you exposed to frigid winters? Because this can affect the type of worms, or it will determine the type of worms that you will get. You need to keep into consideration the moisture in your worm bin. You need to also think about the level of acidity that is in your worm bin, and you need to think about the pH of your worm bin, because worms do not like acidic conditions, so you want to ensure that all these conditions are met. Now, each type of composting worms have their preference in terms of temperature range that they are most productive in, and they have the temperature range that they just cannot survive in, or they will slow down, or they can even die. So these are things that you need to keep in mind. Now, if you're just about to start your worm farm, you need to think about the type of bins that you are going to be using, and there are several factors that can determine the type of bin that you will want to use. So in my next video, I'm going to be going in depth on this topic, so help you to see which worm bin would work best for you. Now, if you're going to be a commercial worm farmer, there are things that you need to think about. Like, for example, most important thing you need to think about is who is your ideal customer, your targeted customer. Where can you find them? How do you plan to reach them? Because this is going to determine how you tailor your worm farm. You also need to think about location, whether you're doing it for personal reason or for commercial purposes. You need to think about where you're going to be keeping your worms. For some, they can keep their worms inside their homes. They might keep it in their kitchen. They might keep it in their basement. And some commercial worm farmers do keep their worms in their basement. Some worm farmers may choose, or worm farmers on a whole, personal or commercial, may choose to keep it in their garage, or they may have a designated building just for worm farming, or they may choose to do the worm farming outdoors. So all of these topics I'm going to be going in depth into in my next video. So these are some of the things that you need to consider as you contemplate advancing in your worm farm. Now, my goal is to help you to be successful at it, whether it is your first attempt or if it is your next attempt. So follow along, and if you are interested in seeing my next video that will go in depth on these topics, then please visit my website and provide your information, in the section below and I will send you that video.